Okay, scooter tramps and chopper jockeys all across the land. It's 9 o'clock, kinda, on the East Coast. That means it's time for another
It
episode.
is 9 o'clock. It just happens to be like 9 something.
9-ish.
Yeah.
And if you're a regular here at Shop Talk, then you know that that's around the time we get started every week. It's time for another episode of Shop Talk. In case you're new to the show, this is 90 minutes of all the bullshit we can fit. I'm your host here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Chris Callen. I'm joined by my boy Ken Coney out in Colorado, co-host with the most.
What's up, man? How are you? Crazy week, huh?
It has been. It has been. Our last episode, man. If you guys tune into that, it was one for the history books. It really was.
Yeah, I was super honored to be a part of that, and just be a part of it, man, and listen to people's stories about Arlen and everything. And it was a really, really special to have Corey on and just share his experience with his dad and just get a different perspective. I don't know. It's sad, and at the same time, like, I feel like we really got to celebrate a true legend in the industry. So
absolutely, and here at Shop Talk, we're not just forcing our opinions on you. We ask you to participate to further that idea. We have the lovely Heather Callen off to my right, and she's bringing in the social media comments throughout the show. You guys feel free to put your comments and concerns up. Bitches, complaints, ideas for future shows.
No bitching, no bitching, no bitching.
They can bitch all they want. Doesn't mean I'll pay attention to them.
Yeah.
So what do you got right now, Blondie?
Let's see. We have Pat Jansen in the house. Cabana Dan from Milwaukee is here. Ronster is here. Brenda and Jack DeGazio are here. Brian Frand from Bluegrass Engraving is here. Brian, thank you very much for the plaques for Chopper Time. They were the bomb. Robin Cole, Lisa Ballard from Chop Cult. Thank you very much for joining us, Lisa. Brian Buttera, who's going to be our guest in a little bit, is watching. We have Brian Nichols, and looks like there's a good group of people here watching.
Lisa, real quick, I got to say a special thank you to Lisa, because last week Lisa hosted a watch party for the episode we did last week, and we really, really appreciate your support. We want to give that back to you. So you guys want to get the latest up-to-the-minute news on everything from the chopper scene, man. Chop Cult is the way to do it. Go check them out. Subscribe.
Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Do the thing.
Lisa's been a long-time friend of the magazine, and we really appreciate everything she does here. She works her ass off. So,
yeah, for sure.
So what about you? What do you got this week, Ken?
It's almost kind of getting riding weather.
It is riding weather. I took a lovely ride yesterday on the new Twisted T-bike.
I saw something about that on the old internet.
Yes, sir.
I thought, that looks like Pennsylvania in what is supposed to be spring.
It was very
all brown.
Nice. Very nice. Yes, sir.
It takes a little while, I would imagine, for the flowers to come out and the birds to emerge, etc.
Yeah, it's still flannel weather here, but when the sun gets out in the middle of the day like
Isn't
that,
it always flannel weather for you, Chris?
No.
I mean, you're kind of like a Seattle grunge guy, right?
But I'm an unflannel guy. Like I don't particularly subscribe to the whole flannel revolution. That's not me.
No, he's anti-flannel.
Yeah, I'm a work shirt guy.
Except for your pajamas. I would imagine you have flannel pajamas.
No, they're black too.
And flannel sheets. Do you really have black?
Listen, in a rare occasion that I go golfing.
Does wear black, Heather? This is getting weird, I know, but
everything he owns is black. Seriously, his pajamas are black.
On the rare occasion that I go golfing, I have a black outfit for golfing with a black golfing glove and black shoes. Like, I don't go into that whole Easter egg bullshit.
Oh, dude, I'm getting you like some rainbow shit.
Oh, man.
Getting you like a rainbow fucking leather jacket to wear.
No. He used to wear white socks until my mother made fun of him, and now even his socks are black.
Yeah. How about
wow, you and Andy George are simpatico.
Right?
That got nothing but black t-shirts and black pants.
Yep.
So that's enough of our bullshit. Part of the job that we do here every week is to go over the latest headlines from the world of motorcycling, a little segment that we like to call the news. First up in the news tonight, and who's surprised electric motorcycles are stealing the headlines everywhere. I know Ken's happy about that.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, this one is particularly a badass, man.
Dude, it is a high performance bike. So the people that don't know what Lightning is all about, they actually put together a bike called the 218 LS. That bike won the Pikes Peak Hill Climb. And that was like their super bike, their electric super bike. And so these guys have been in the scene for a long time. You can buy one of those Lightnings, I think, for $40,000.
Yeah, 38.
Yeah. So, and what they decided to do was what a lot of people are doing, which is, hey, there's a market out there for electric motorcycles. Let's see what we can put together. And they put together something really different than anybody else has. They put together the Lightning Strike. And it is a full-on sport bike.
It looks like a regular sport bike. It's not like, oh, hey, that's really weird looking or...
Yeah, no, and I really like how it's like the design of it is something, it's really fantastic. Like when you look at the design and the angles of it, and then how it's got the exposed kind of the motor, I think it's pretty cool. And the swing arm and just kind of all the lines and everything. It looks super aggressive. This is not a bike you're going to just tool around.
And I think they luck out in the fact that the benefits of what a sport bike looks like, they can hide a lot of the stuff that, you know, companies like Harley Davidson really have to struggle with from a design perspective. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this looks nothing like the Livewire.
Right.
It does. There's nothing that even resembles it. It doesn't look anything like the Zero Street Fighter. You know, it doesn't look anything like any of the other, you know, electric bikes out there. I know everybody's probably wondering what's the, you know, cost on it, you know, about $13,000 or so. Range, you know, varies. I think at the base level, it's like 80 miles in town. With all the chargers and everything, I think you can go to 100 and something. But it goes 135 miles an hour.
So that was in from Forbes magazine. If you guys want to read up more on that, go to Forbes and hit up Lightning Strikes. Next up in the news is information about Arizona Bike Week. Our boy Jack is out there at the Dirty Dog. We want to send Jack our love. But Arizona Bike Week concerts, prices, including a free day, and everything else you would need to know from AZ Central. This is an event that's growing, man. It's growing fast. Like everybody that I talk to each year goes to this thing, and they're surprised at everything that's available at Arizona Bike Week.
Yeah, Missy's there right now on our behalf, and she said so far so good, and she's waiting for George Thorogood to take the stage this evening.
Oh, right.
Yep, that's tonight. And we tried to get a hold of somebody from Arizona Bike Week, and to no avail. I think that we might have been a little late to the party on that one.
I think they might be a little busy.
Yeah, for sure. So I totally understand. I think that there's a lot. There is a lot going on. I went down there probably 15 years ago, and it was an empty dust. I mean, it was so bad.
Right.
And you know who else was there? Carl from Super Rat was there.
Oh, dude,
I went down there with Kurt Lout.
I love those guys.
Went down there with Kurt Lout. We drove down there, almost ran over a drunk Indian in the middle of the night. He was walking down the middle of the highway. But we drove down there because it was now. So you can't really, I mean, I guess you can if you're Chopper Charlie, you can ride to Arizona because he's out of his mind.
Chopper Charlie is amazing.
He is.
So that road that he just rode is so gnarly, dude. I did it on an Indian bagger and rattled off all the bolts in the fairing.
And he did it on a 12-foot long chopper in an ice storm. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. I don't know if he's just like that brave or just plumb crazy.
Yeah.
So you can see off to my side over there that the social media comments are coming in. You know, don't get left behind. Jump in there. Let us know what you're thinking.
The comment of the night is from Daryl Huxall from Minnesota, and he says, "Rad stash, Ken."
Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks. Yeah.
lot of comments about the old facial arrangement there, Ken.
It was a joke at first, and then I was like, I'll keep it. It really seems to annoy people, so I'm all about it.
So before we go into another piece of news, I do want to remind you guys that Shop Talk is brought to you by the Russ Brown Motorcycle Attorneys. We're actually coming to you live from Russ Brown Studios. We appreciate all the help that they're giving us bringing you this program. It's no small feat, so thank you to those guys, and thank every one of you that are helping us keep this going all the time.
For sure.
Let me jump to Brian Nichols real quick. He is inquiring about our schedule for Laconia.
There you go.
We do not have that 100% complete yet. I can tell you that our bike show will probably not be on Wednesday. It was just Wednesday is such a big day with the hill climbs in Laconia that I'd rather people be able to enjoy both. So
there you go.
Hopefully.
What was that?
You all right?
What just happened? I missed it.
You have a dog over there or something?
No.
The dog's locked upstairs, so I'm imagining that was your basic country variety mouse, Ken, that just happened right here in the studio.
Oh, nice. All right.
That may have actually been a Russ Brown mouse.
Nice.
Hopefully, we'll have the schedule within the next few days. Damn it.
Do you hate mice, Heather?
It just, the little sucker caught me off guard, and I like mice when they're not in my studio.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great.
Need a cat.
That's good shit. Right there.
No cats. Nope.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
No, they do their business and then they get on your counters and stuff. No cats. Blah.
Oh, Jesus. And I remind myself why this is not just a half hour with Heather.
Fine. I will be silent the rest of the show. You will be sorry.
No.
I'm not getting into a domestic live on the air. I will not do it. Instead, let's take 2 seconds here. We're going to go through some products from the people at S&S Cycle and Bell Helmets.
Nice.
JJ from S&S coming to you with a pro tip. So I get in out of stores, I'm here in Viola once in a while talking to our tech line, and something that's come up more recently is the fact that we've had distortion in the spigots from people unboxing their cylinders incorrectly. So you get your cylinders, you pull them out of the box, you set them down upside down. Okay, never set them on their spigot. This is a delicate area. If you were to distort this, bad. For more pro tips, stay tuned to sscycle.com.
Okay, special thanks to S&S and the people with Bell Helmets through Dennis Kirk. Is it just me, or is that like a given not to be gentle with brand new cylinders?
Well, apparently it's
like don't
not
throw 'em
just a
around like a
given.
football,
Otherwise, right? I mean, that goes along with like the tag on a curling iron that says external use only. I mean, it's not a given. There's a reason they made the video.
Whoa. Do you think that happened? I mean,
there's a reason they put the tag on it. I mean,
oh, you're killing me.
Room stories.
Oh my God! I just saw on right there on social media. Prayers out to Rich Petoniak. His dad had heart surgery tonight. Rich, we're so sorry.
So sorry to hear that, Rich. Sending good vibes and healing thoughts to your dad for sure.
For sure. He's always on here. So
yeah, Brian, please pass that on for us.
Oh my
We'd
God,
appreciate
that's terrible.
it.
Lance Baxter in from Florida. Jeff Quilty, what's up?
Jeff,
did you say Lance Bass?
Baxter.
Lance Baxter.
Oh, okay. I was like, whew, Lance Bass is on. All right, new kids on the block. Isn't that right?
I was just going to ask you who that was. No, I know.
New kids on the block. I don't know.
So
anyway,
people were always saying more Heather on the show. I'm going to keep the camera on her for a while in case
that's a great idea.
in case there's
Nobody
another
wants
mouse.
to see
Come
that.
on.
Right
It
on.
just caught me off guard.
All right, let's jump back to the news. So next up in the news, the male-dominated Quail Motorcycle Gathering is reserving front seats for women. What does this mean, Ken? This is your home gig.
So it's I think that they're just trying to highlight women in motorcycles and let people know that there's actually women that ride up there, which is, it is a male, for sure it's a male dominated event, but honestly, it's not that. There's a lot of couples that go. So I would say in comparison to most motorcycle events, it's actually probably 60-40.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little less of a pirate ship than most. But what?
That was great.
Little pirate ship on the old golf course. But what's really cool is they talk about kind of what's going to be going on this year. They've got I believe they've got a racer coming out, a female racer coming out. They're going to do kind of a round table on Friday night, I believe. So it's going to be super fun. And then also on the other end of that, they're going to have cut away from me for a second.
Dude,
I'm gonna find.
I can't cut away from you because so many people are talking about your mustache tonight. It's priceless.
I know we have a new comment of the night. That stash is what dreams are made of.
Well,
Hey, how about this though? Sidecar Sean tuning in from London. What's up, London? In the house. Dig that.
Did you see we have Rhett Giordano with us?
No.
Rhett Rotten is here.
Right
My
on.
brother is here
Rhett.
from Brooklyn. Eric Christensen from Spectro Oils is here.
Rhett, what's up, man? Hey, listen, send us your schedule, man, so that we can put you up on Shop Talk and maybe even get you on here before one of your next big up-and-coming gigs. We missed you in Daytona. We were trying to get up to see you for a minute, but send us your schedule so we can promote that stuff. Anybody? I'm all alone.
no, you're all alone.
Crickets.
Jesus.
No, so I was trying to remember what I can't. Malcolm,
Forbes?
the guy who's
Smith?
a rider.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I got nothing.
Okay.
He's gonna be at the Quail this year.
No shit.
Yep, the guy's done
how
all the
important
did all
is
the
he if you don't
racing
even
and
know his
everything.
name?
And he's like 100 years old. I think it's Malcolm Smith, right?
She's a real pain in the ass tonight.
Yeah, I know. So am I, because I don't have my facts straight.
I got my hands on the board and I could just shut her off, but
Ooh.
that's just going to lead to more problems.
Well, she usually forgets to turn on her mic anyway.
True. Good point. Valid.
Oh, she heard me. Wait a minute. I mean, I didn't mean that.
All right,
Okay,
fine.
What's next?
Back into the news. This in from Bikes
Yeah.
XF, the Bikes of the Outliers Guild Motorcycle Show. This article coming in from Bike XF. I can never say that right. Shows that, on the East Coast, there's the Brooklyn Invitational, Mama Tried in the Midwest, Hand-Built Show in Texas. And on the West Coast, there's Portland One Show. But this is a new thing coming out of Los Angeles, colloquially known as the OG Moto Show.
Which is funny. OG, right?
Oh, gee.
I think just colloquially.
Colloquially.
Col-
Colloquially.
Colloquial.
Oh,
Say it with me, Chris.
colloquially. I can't say that. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm from Pittsburgh. We're taught
can
not to
say
say
it.
words like that.
You just say it long and slow.
Colloquially.
So there's some really bitchin' bikes. The thing that I thought was cool was that they had this full photo gallery available already. It just happened last week. I believe it happened last Thursday night. It's just a one-night show, I believe, and it's actually done in conjunction with our buddy Chris Richardson. I think he hates it, and they do it in conjunction with the bar that he opened. So super cool stuff.
So
really cool.
House of Machines is his place,
House
right?
Machines.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So super cool. Really cool bikes for sure.
What is that? A BMW? That thing's badass.
There's some really cool stuff there.
Excuse me.
I love that power plant bike as well. He hasn't made a bike that I don't like.
Yeah, right.
So, Pretty ridiculous.
That kid's sick talent.
Yeah, he's not a kid. He's like my age, but okay.
Well, I still look at you like a kid, Ken.
We're the same age.
Mentally.
Affectionately.
Yeah.
It's just because I feel old as hell.
Well, Chris, you're a kid.
I have a little blonde woman that's driving me into the ground.
Oh, please.
Ah,
You're the
it's certainly
biggest
not your
5-year-old
wife.
I
She's the
know.
one that keeps you alive, son.
That's a good night. Okay, so next up, and this in from the Orlando Sentinel. Of course, the Orlando Sentinel would post this. What to do if surrounded by a motorcycle mob?
Like, for real?
Oh, dude.
Freaking dumb.
It is. Like, I was grabbed by the headlines, and then I read on, it's like, it was ATVs, right?
Yeah, no. So they do this. They do like flash mob
Yeah.
that they said, and they did it last year. And there's some video out there of it that's pretty nuts, like of people like taking over an entire highway, like 200-300 ATVs and bikes, just totally reckless abandon. My point is, this is not the kind of PR that motorcyclists need. And these are not motorcycle riders. Most of them aren't even licensed. They don't have licensed vehicles. It's not, it's not great PR for us.
Yeah.
But pretty silly. And surprise, surprise, you know what you should do if you're overtaken by a motorcycle mob? Chris, you've got great ideas.
Grab a bike and get your groove on. What do you expect?
D-batteries work. No, so surprisingly, you're just supposed to call 911. That's basically what it says. Call 911.
Good luck with that.
Try to identify the bike. Call 911. Good luck. Yeah, good luck.
How about
anyway? I just thought it was not great PR.
How about just be a person? Learn some names, meet some people, show them you're invested in this project.
Who are you, Chris? What's going on?
It's great. What do you got? What do you got, Blondie? Let's bring you back in.
Let's see.
People don't want to see us anyway.
Mike Yurko says they're a bunch of a-holes. He also said don't shut Heather off. Tim Kearns has a request. He says, Ken, would you please say, is that a Sears poncho or a real poncho?
Wait. Don't do it yet. Let me bring you up. Go ahead.
Is that a Sears poncho or a real poncho?
Oh.
I'm gonna make a 30-second video clip
meme.
available next week. You guys will be able to go to the Cycle Source Instagram page and get Ken doing that to some music. We'll make it into a.
It'll gotta be like a bow chicka wow wow type deal.
Is that a Sears poncho or a real poncho?
Or a real poncho? I think I could do better, Chris.
Wait, okay, hang on. Here you go.
I think I could. Is that a Sears poncho or a real poncho? How's that? Is that better? Creepier?
That was almost like what's his name? Your cowboy, old man cowboy lover that you dig so much.
Oh, that was not Sam Elliott.
It was a little bit. Yeah.
There is only one Sam Elliott. And I don't care how old you are. If you are a woman, you know how sexy Sam Elliott is.
Whoa.
Sam Elliott would have been more like
And she ended up with you, Chris.
What the fuck is that you're wearing? Is that a Sears poncho?
A real poncho.
Gosh.
All right, let's move on. Zappa
Yeah, this
rules.
is supposed to be a serious program,
I know,
gentlemen.
I
What
know.
is happening to you?
Robin
We were
Cole.
just so serious last week
Right.
that I think we're just like ready to get our
Cut out.
groove on or something.
Yep.
It's 9:30. We better call Keith Ball. If we don't call him right now, we will not get
There'll
him.
be hell to pay.
He will
So
leave us
That's
hanging.
right.
I'm going to bring his number up. You tell everybody about our first guest, Ken.
Keith Ball, Bandit, founding editor of Easy Riders magazine, has all the stories that you could ever imagine from the 70s and beyond. He's the owner of BikerNet magazine. That's not a magazine, it's a website. BikerNet website. And
Keith was doing digital motorcycle news before, like 10 years before anybody started doing it.
Oh yeah, I think he's in like his 500th year or something.
500th year. He's kicking your ass for that one.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phones and see if we can get Keith on.
Mr. Callan.
Mr. Ball, how are you, sir? You're live with Chris, Ken, and Heather.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's on, baby. It's on.
I just want to know if you got that billboard up in time.
Of course.
Fantastic. That's all we ask.
Bordered in neon.
Right on. So we got a lot to talk about tonight.
Uh-oh.
Huh? We're looking for answers.
Am I in trouble?
No.
Not at all.
We've been telling our listeners all night that you are the man. You've been doing motorcycle news on the internet before anybody even thought about doing it. As long as I've known you, you've been, constantly one of the purveyors of information about motorcycle legislation and what's going on. You've been super active in the environment and the struggle against EPA as it applies to the motorsports. And tonight we want you to give us a refresher, bring us up to speed.
Wow.
Well, let's start with Utah. Let's start with some good news, right?
Oh,
I mean, you and I talked
absolutely.
about that a little bit. Utah just passed a lane splitting law. It's crazy, right?
It's just amazing when you feel this onslaught of legislation coming at you, and then all of a sudden here's this state that does the improbable. It's amazing. But I really believe that we need a serious public communication lesson on how lane splitting benefits the drivers.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So that they don't get pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've always felt that's essential to making lane splitting work for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that there's so much, there's a lot to that legislation. I read into it, and I think you can only go up to 30 miles an hour, I think is where they're starting off, which I think is fine. I know that there's a lot of people that really like to go crazy fast and split lanes.
Yes, please.
Right.
Yeah. And I understand the thrill of that, but I also understand why they would want to, take baby steps at first,
Oh, absolutely. They have to monitor it. They have, this is a whole new deal. Although most European countries allow lane splitting.
Especially the filtering part. The filtering part is the part that makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Can you explain that to people? I mean, I could, but I think I'd rather hear it from you.
Well, the filtering aspect just means that you're not going to combine the congestion of motorcycles with cars so that they can move out of your way. And obviously it prevents massive rear end accidents. It just allows motorcycles to filter through the traffic to safety.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And, at stoplights especially, and also when traffic is completely stopped. And I think that's a huge win for us.
I think if you consider the fact that I think most states allow motorcycle traffic in HOV lanes, and it's the same kind of thing, for the safety and for the amount of traffic that's going on. That just makes sense to make it easier on everyone. If there's the ability, if cars could filter down, if they could open up lanes to specifically for traffic times, they do.
Oh, absolutely. And, here in Los Angeles, I don't know if you've noticed that the National Motorist Association has started a blog called Wars on Cars. And that's initiatives that are designed to punish you because you drive a car. It's the whole fossil fuel deal.
Yeah.
And so in Los Angeles, they've taken major boulevards that were 2 lanes on both sides, and they've cut it to 1 boulevard for cars and one lane for bicycles. And I think they ought to make that open to motorcycles, because most of these places, there are no bicycles in that lane.
Yeah.
It's just a punishment initiative. It's nuts.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is.
So we've got a bunch of historic pictures of you from back in the day. What was it like back in the day? I imagine you weren't worried about lane splitting.
No, not at all. I was thinking about the whole nature and the topic of our industry and how people are scared to death, that there's something going wrong with our industry. And I was thinking about it today, and I was thinking about back in the 50s when bikers first started building custom motorcycles, and how few they were. And look at how many they grew to. And then again, in the early 70s, when the gas prices went through the roof and the motorcycle industry tanked somewhat. That was the inflationary period. Well, then look what happened. It came back stronger than ever. I always joke with guys that are pissing and moaning about this issue. And I say, nobody stopped having babies. So we're going to continue to have motorcyclists. We're splintering in lots of different directions. I find it so interesting. I had a conversation with a guy the other day who said that he was around a group of guys and no one had ever heard of Arlen Ness. And it's because we're splintering, where the chopper industry was one massive industry at one time. Yeah. Well, now you got bobbers and choppers and racers and it just goes on and on. But the key to me is communication. Yep. And that is something that's being hammered in our industry right now with the magazines stepping out. But it's just up to us to communicate, the fun and the aspects and the freedom of what we're doing and embrace the younger audience and so they get educated.
No, I agree with that, man. And I think for as many challenges that we face today, you kind of proved it because you were on the forefront of digital media, years and years, 10 years, I think, before any magazines really started to get hip to the advantages of traffic and digital information. But especially today, in this day and age, there's so much technology, there's so much availability to traffic information and have these conversations right here. I think it's the best position we've ever been in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's interesting, and as you know, the social media attack, I guess you could call it an attack or onslaught into people's educational prowess, their ability to reach out, to sit down and actually read a book or something like that, has probably diminished considerably because of it. But we just, what you're doing is amazing, and that's, we just need to keep reaching out.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to talk for a minute though, like to illustrate, because from a business standpoint, you've been through a few decades now of the motorcycle's ups and downs, and we always ask this question when we're talking to people with the kind of experience that you've had in this. What can you say comparatively about, because so many people are sky is falling about the motorcycle industry today? Take us back to the 70s and compare what our industry is like today compared to where it was at in the 70s.
Well, it's just so fascinating because, in fact, I just did that bike feature with Micah McCluskey, and he talks about building a bike in the 70s and the limited resources, and there were just like Flanders and Paco building parts, and you didn't have the equipment you have nowadays, and now the resources are amazing. I mean, you can virtually do anything you want to do. I mean, if you had an engine that had crushed cases, you could go someplace and have them digitally analyzed and have a set of cases kicked out. No problem.
Yeah.
I mean, everything in our industry now is so much better than it was. I think that we're just
spoiled.
It's well, part of it's spoiled, but part of it is like you're saying, the naysayers, the people who are saying, "Oh, we're," and I talked to the guys at Paco. They're kicking ass.
Yep.
They're selling product like crazy. So somebody's buying it.
Well, a lot of that, I think, is that, motorcycles came out of the underground, whether it was the late 80s, early 90s, it came out of the underground. And, for a lot of us, there's plenty of business still back in the underground. So if part of it has gone back under there, I don't think that's all bad. I don't think that's a negative tick on on the calculator where we're at today.
Well, you know that always, always in the back of our minds and in the back of young guys' minds, what do choppers represent? They represent freedom. They represent
Fuck you
the
to the
ability.
man.
Yeah. They represent getting out and doing it on your own, and embracing a style that's just nothing but fun, and actually a lot of creativity also. And I got such a kick out of it the other day. I'm looking at Micah's bike, and I'm thinking that 5 years ago people looked at you and went, "Choppers are dead, man. You'll never see a chopper again." You know, and look what's happened. You know, it's going crazy again. So we just go through these fluctuations in our industry because it's a discretionary piece. It's like boating. You know, as soon as your wallet's not quite as full anymore, well, the last thing you do is go buy another motorcycle. But on the
that's an interesting point.
But on the other side of it, actually, and this is sort of contrary to boating, where boating is sort of a rich guy's deal. It really does take some money. A guy can still go out and find himself a Sportster for $1,000.
No, listen to this, man. So right now, I've just run across it's fourth or fifth, like our late 90s or mid 90s Softails that are going for $2,000, $2,500. Like the bike we built the Twisted Tea bike out of this year was a $2,500 loaner or donor bike. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it
ran.
And it's a killer time. If you're a garage chopper, man, it's a killer time to be in this because shit's going cheap and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of parts. I love it. Absolutely. You know, to me, I joke to guys that all we really need to get the industry really kicking again is another biker build-off television series, another Easy Rider movie. You know, that's the kind of thing that really sparks it and makes it sexy again.
I'm in such agreement with you on that. You know, I don't know that I want to go through the whole story, but briefly. Back in, years ago, they were trying to, Nescafe, which was owned by Nestle, wanted to get coffee into Japan because nobody drank coffee in Japan. So they went to this research company and they decided that the best thing to do was to make an animated film, kids film, right, TV show that had these little candy treats in them. And then they made the candy treats. The candy treats had kind of a coffee flavor. And guess what? 10 years later, everybody in Japan is drinking coffee. You know, that is the way that and that's why I think, stuff like, Harley Davidson buying Stasic is so important. But I also feel like exactly what you said, we need to get into the mainstream media more.
You know what though? Listen, I gotta argue with you about something real quick. Because it's important that Harley Davidson's buying Stasic. It's important that, all the youth initiatives with the Strider bikes and stuff like that. But you know what could really do a lot to bring new riders in quicker? Like while you're planting those long-term seeds, how about if you could go to your local dealer and buy parts for a 97 Sportster? How about, no, listen, I'm not joking and I'm not being critical, but there's an opportunity there to start making the younger generation part of what we're doing. There's a way to reach out to them to include them, like Keith is talking about, that I think we're missing out on because while a lot of this has gone to the underground, the aftermarket shops have disappeared. Guys are going back to their 9-to-5 jobs and they're fixing bikes weekends and nights, and those shops aren't there, so there's no place. I
don't know, man. There are less.
Hey,
shops,
listen, baby.
Sure.
I live in a place. When I started Cycle Source magazine, there was over 30 aftermarket shops on a 100-mile radius, and I bet you if there's 10 of them left, we're lucky. So it's been a challenge for those shops.
But it has been a challenge, but the economy created that. And now the economy is coming back. And you talk to guys like Lee Clemens at Departure Bike Works, they're doing fine. These guys are doing well.
And I'm not even talking about just the business, but I'm talking about the cultural inclusion. You know what I mean? Like where I came into this was watching a bunch of guys that not far from my house all hung out at one place, and I eventually got the balls up to stop there and and take the abuse to be the young guy coming in. But I mean, that was kind of what ushered me in.
But that's where a movie comes in.
Yeah.
That's Easy Rider. I was already a biker by then, so easy. I was sort of hard nosed toward Easy Rider, but it kicked
As in
the
you didn't
industry
like
right
it?
in the ass. Well, no, I liked it. I just I was just a young guy that thought he knew what he was doing. So
Right on.
and I thought they were Hollywood. So
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Some of those pictures we've got of you, you look pretty hardcore, Keith.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, I've
How'd
sort
you
of
get
been
the
through
name
it
Bandit?
all.
How'd you get the name
Well,
Bandit?
The Bandit that came from Luke Kimsey. Actually, Luke Kimsey, when I went to work for him, he said, we're writing a lot of articles. We got to come up with different names. You can't just
And
use
he's the founder of Easy Riders, right? Or the
I think he was the creative genius behind Easy Riders. Okay. I worked for him for 10 years directly. I mean, it was just me, Luke Kimsey, and Denise Pearson was the art director. Sort of like you and Heather, And so, he said, "Oh yeah, you got to come up with some names." So I came up with Bandit, and then ultimately, like a half a dozen other names that I used. So.
Right on.
But
I just
Bandit
imagine
was-
that back then the big difference between the Easy Riders office and the Cycle Source offices, there were probably a lot more drugs at the Easy Riders office. Yeah.
Well, listen, if we're going to be totally honest, I'm going to tell you something. It's cleaned up a lot in the last 6 or 8 years, but we used to have, when we would have company meetings here, because everyone from all over the tri-state area that used to be part of the magazine when it was just regional, they would all come to my house once a month and we'd have a company meeting. And the rule was, to be able to speak at the meeting, you had to be holding the whiskey bottle or you weren't allowed to talk. So it was the only way we could keep control.
That's the opposite of the Roberts Rules of Order. That's the whiskey rules of order.
Yeah, that was Jack's rules.
yeah, Jack's rules. Yeah, absolutely. No, we had a great time.
Nice.
It was
Heather.
Yeah.
Heather, you have any social media questions? I imagine people have been chiming in.
They actually are in very much agreement in pretty much everything you guys have said, from, the soft tails to the Sportster parts, and, they all couldn't agree more. So you guys are definitely on the right track.
No questions for Keith.
General consensus. I think everybody's just really enjoying listening to him. That's one thing. Our people don't ask a whole lot of questions because they just get so...
They just make hell yeah comments.
Yeah, they get so involved in listening because it's not all the time that they get to hear stories from an OG like Keith Ball. I mean, this is an honor for us to have him on and for people to be able to hear him.
That's what I want. I want to put in a request for a story. I want you to tell me one of the craziest stories from you and Rogue back in the days.
Oh, I don't know. I'm going to have to ponder that for a second. But I wanted to bring up one other topic that I was thinking about this stuff today, and I thought, I'm now 71 years old. So 71 years old, but my son is now 45, and he rides. He has a road glide. And my grandson, who's 24, he has 4 motorcycles. He has an FXR that I built for his dad, and then his dad had a drug problem, and he ended up selling it to his son. But they're all clean now, which I'm very proud of them. And so then my grandson has an old Triumph, a 71 Triumph. He has a 2005 Dynaglide that he wrecked, and I helped him rebuild it. And he has the FXR, and he has one of those Yamahas that I started helping him with, and helped him get the whole thing together. So here's a kid that's, he's he's embracing the industry and he loves to ride. You know, we got the FXR running well, and he says, I can't get off it. You know, I just got to keep going, you know. So again, from that standpoint, and then I was going to say that you and Heather, I heard this, you guys are going to have 6 kids and they're all going to ride motorcycles. Wow. Is that true? Is that true?
You know,
we have 2 children. There will never be any more.
We're probably on our way to having 6 grandchildren that'll all ride motorcycles, but we're 2 grandkids into that already.
Unless you can teach my bulldog how to ride.
So when people start talking about the motorcycle industry, well, hang on.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
It's yeah. So a story, from the old days.
Yeah, because Rogue, I've had the privilege of sitting with Rogue an awful lot and hearing stories from him, and man, like he tells me some crazy shit. Like you guys were buck wild, man.
Well, you know, when you think about it, it's sort of like the Old West. You know, the Old West, like you see in thousands of movies, was really only around about 20 years, and actually, our chopper industry started off, let's say, in the late 40s and has gone for quite a ways. And there's been a lot of wild stuff, and there's still wild stuff going on. Yeah. You know, so it's really kind of fascinating that we have this sort of history that we can. I'm just waiting for somebody, and I sent all my books to Clint Eastwood, and I said, if anybody can dust off off Billy the Kid like John Ford did and create John Wayne and created an industry of movies you could do it. Clint Eastwood's the guy. You know?
Sure.
No, let's talk about that for a minute, what you're talking about. You have a serious list of titles to your credit.
Well, a half a dozen.
That's pretty. That's a serious list for me.
and I just finished my first draft of a screenplay.
Yeah.
Called Splintered Road. So.
Right on.
Yeah. So I've got someone who's a best-selling author, and now she works for BuzzFeed and is working on the Captain Marvel series. She's gone through my screenplay, and she loved it.
Right on.
Yeah,
excellent.
So I'm excited about that.
Here's a couple things in from social media. So so far we got Tim Kearns is asking, who's holding the original recipe for raisin pie? And Voodoo Trucker says, if you was to think about doing a quarter of stuff the old timers did, you'd be strung up and tarred and feathered. So the raisin pie thing, I'm not hip. Hook me up. Tell me what that's about.
Well, we used to joke. In fact, Lou started that, and he said that it was something that guys could make in prison because it didn't take a lot of ingredients. So, and you're going to love this story. So we used to joke, that like at a staff meeting, if you did something really cool, you got a slice of raisin pie. And really, it was kind of a joke, like, well, you got some prison pie, so it's really not that good, but that's what you get, pal, but you're going to love this story. So years go by. I mean, this is like 20 years go by. This is in the late 90s. And one day I get a package at Easy Riders, and I open it up, and it's a giant can, like an oatmeal can, that's probably a gallon, and it was raisin pie filling.
No shit.
And it was from a company that made raisin pie filling. And so all the girls at the staff took some and made pies, and that shit was amazing. It was so good.
What?
Yeah, it was actually delicious. And for a while after that, I stayed in touch with this guy because he was a biker and he worked at this company that made raisin pie filling. And I stayed in touch with him, and so every once in a while we'd get a can of raisin pie filling.
Wow.
And then I don't know what happened. The company went out of business or something like that, and I lost touch with him. But I still salivate over that raisin pie. It was so good. You know?
Well, I'm looking at recipes right now for raisin pie. I might just have to make you one.
You know what that means?
Fantastic.
When Heather gets stressed out in the office, Keith, that's her deal. Like, she'll disappear, and all of a sudden I'll smell from upstairs. I'll smell the entire house. Smells like a big fat chocolate chip cookie or something. It's terrible. It's terrible. I was a skinny man when I met her.
I like to cook.
Oh man, it's wonderful, and it's wonderful that you love to cook. And Allison loves to cook too. The redhead, she just digs it. You know? Yeah. So what was the other question? He asked about raisin pie.
Then the other guy said if you were to think about doing a quarter of the stuff the old timers did, you'd be strung up, tarred, and feathered. And I mean that's true. It's a different world today, man, and like, you know, that's a perfect reason and a way to roll into the next thing to talk to you about. That our freedoms are disappearing so fast, and like not even just like real freedoms between the man and the government and everything, but like even our freedoms between each other, like how careful you have to be in conversation with people and to not offend people and to not, you know, enter their comfort zone. And it's a crazy world right now.
It is. It really is nuts. And I just think about the whole global warming doomsday deal, you know, and I meant, and the kind of restrictions that has imposed on people and made people feel like they're bad people because they drive an SUV. You know, I mean, come on, give me a break.
So are you a global warming denier?
I'm an absolute denier, man. I'm king of deniers. You know, in fact, I think the whole thing's going to blow up this year. It's already started to blow up, but I think the whole thing's going to blow up. Keith, it's doomsday. And how many times over the last 2,000 years have people come out and go, oh my God, you know, if you don't believe in my God, you're going to go to, oh man, everything.
Every generation. Yeah. Listen, this is something that Ken and I bring up from time to time with all the, you know, the electric vehicle revolution. Has anyone actually looked into yet what the conditions are like for mining the materials to make those batteries?
Because, let alone the coal that's being burned to fuel them. I mean, they're basically coal fueled vehicles.
You think you're hugging a tree? You're making a hole, man.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I've run across studies about that already. You know?
Dude, Tim Carn says. Tim Carn says, "Show me on the touchscreen where the mean biker touched you."
Yeah.
Well, it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, like. It's just society's getting soft.
Yeah.
It's just getting soft. It's ridiculous. It used to be if you cross somebody, they'd smack you in the mouth, they'd pick you up, dust you off, and you'd go grab a beer or a pizza. There's nothing wrong with that.
Ladies and gentlemen, my wife.
Well, you know, actually, you think about it, and we've all got softer as society's moved along, and you get more and more things are available to you that. You know, you don't have to go out and cut down a tree to have something to heat the stove tonight. So, you know, we have got softer, you know, but it's kind of getting ridiculous. You know, so, I think about my grandfather and my dad. And my dad said that he came home from, he didn't want to go to school one day because he didn't feel well. So the next day he got up and said, "Oh, Dad, you know, I'm really not feeling well." So his dad took him outside and put him on a street corner, and this was like in London, you know, or it was in England, and just smacked the shit out of him and said, you know, when you're back from school, then you can feel bad, you know. And, you know, it was that kind of stuff that, you know, you just didn't, no bullshit, you know. So yeah, we have gone through that, and now I don't smack my 40.
Sure you don't.
5-year-old.
He's a big dude. I've met him.
Yeah. So
I wouldn't mess with him.
Yeah. So, you know, we have got softer, but you know, it's just kind of getting insane.
Well, softer and lazier too. Like you don't really have to work for anything anymore, which is kind of pathetic. You used to, I'm only 45, but anything I ever had growing up, I had to earn. Now, 4-year-olds have iPads and cell phones, and they stomp their feet when they don't get their toy, and, mommy and daddy want to be their friend. It doesn't work that way, people.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. No, that whole enabled business is, to me, as soon as you start enabling a kid, you stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You stop them dead in their tracks. They're not going to make any more progress in their life until you quit doing it, So.
Well, listen, Keith, why don't you, for people who aren't familiar, everybody has to be familiar with the Thursday news. Every Thursday you bring out everything that there is on the planet for motorcycles, but what's the rest of bikernet.com? Because there's so much more than just the news.
Well, there is. There's bike features, there's tech articles, there's, I'm starting a new Cantina episode. This will blow your mind. This Cantina episode is episode 84.
No shit.
Wow. So if you took that out and created a book out of it, it'd be 84 chapters. Anyway, so, I've got fiction, I've got travel stories, I got, it's just a lot of fun. And at one point, recently, I've kind of moved everything into the Cantina because I didn't really want to sell ads anymore. And I look at this. It's really a lot of fun. It's almost like the Emerald City. It's my own motorcycle nirvana, and it's for 23, 24 years now that we've been doing it. And man, it's such a great archive of information. So
that's
a lot of fun.
That's what Ken and I talk about all the time. Like he does his, Forever Two Wheels, where it's a long form podcast where he gets to sit down with people, and I don't think we're going to realize until maybe the next generation or the next generation after that, this whole period where we've had the ability to archive stuff, like you said, through 20 plus years of BikerNet, through Ken's time with Forever Two Wheels, that all that information, the stories and the sounds of people's voices and the video of them, that's unlike any time before in our history.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you've created a magazine and you just keep adding pages to it, and it just keeps growing.
For sure.
And
for people that don't
really
know,
amazing.
I did a long form interview with Keith probably 4 or 5 years ago. That's up on Forever Two Wheels. I can't remember what episode it is, but it's if you want to know more about the man, the myth, the legend that is Keith Ball. That's a great one to catch up. I got to go to the BikerNet World headquarters and check everything out, and then we sat down and had a great conversation. So
he's got the coolest headquarters.
He does.
He does, but Ken, I have to ask you, do you have one of the keys?
No.
See? Loser.
Christopher. That's not very nice.
One other thing that I'm covering, and I got to mention real quick, is our Streamline Trike effort.
Yes.
Have you been watching that?
Yeah, buddy.
Wow, man, it's just, we're just screaming along here, and it's so exciting. I can't believe it.
So Keith is a Bonneville.
McCluskey.
Keith is a Bonneville veteran. You've had the world's fastest panhead. You've been out there a bunch with, big names, Barry, and all kind of guys have helped you out before. And now, for people that don't know, we'll put a thing up tomorrow on social media, an update picture of that trike project, because it's stupid sick.
And Micah McCluskey is going to be the pilot now.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It's built around a belly tank, and belly tanks were guys took spare gas tanks, reserve gas tanks off B-52s, and made them into hot rods in the 50s. And it was a cheap way to go. A guy didn't have to buy a car or something. He just put a couple of axles on this thing and an old flathead V8 and took it to the track. So we're building it around a belly tank, and we're going to try to build the world's fastest trike, man.
So now, Keith, are you going to be a speaker at the Legends Dinner?
The Legends Dinner.
In Bonneville?
At Bonneville.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, I hope so.
Somebody asked me if I did it. I was involved with the Easy Rider Streamliner. In fact, the guy who taught me how to rebuild engines, was Bob George, and Bob George built that streamliner. I introduced Bob to Joe Teresi and Mill Blair, and they ended up making it the Jammer streamliner, which became the Easy Rider streamliner. Then we went to, 1989 and 1990, we went to Bonneville with that puppy, and we set the world land speed record at 321 miles an hour and held that land speed record. Now, this kind of stuff has happened in my life. Yeah, we held it for 16 years.
Yeah, man.
And the year that it was broken, I was on the Salt.
And so and Chris and I.
That was the first time I'd been back to the Salt in 16 years. And wow, I mean, what an experience, you know?
Yeah. That place is so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, Keith. We really appreciate you coming on. For people that haven't been to BikerNet, go to bikernet.com, check it out, check in, go to the cantina, sign up, do all that stuff.
There is a link in the comment section.
Awesome. Thank you, Heather. You're great. And Keith, good luck to you in everything. I'm sure that we will see you soon on the road.
And choppers are alive.
Choppers are alive.
Choppers rule.
You got it. All right. Thank you, guys.
Later
Thank you,
on.
Keith.
Take care.
God, dude, Keith gave me my first actual professional journalism critique and advice when I was coming up in this stuff. And I will always remember that day, because I have been reading Keith since, like I have In the Wind, issue number 1. Issue 1, volume 1, In the Wind.
I thought that was issue 2, actually.
No.
Didn't Rogue teach you that was number 2?
No, that was Colors magazine.
Okay.
But yeah. Yep. Fantastic.
He's so great.
Wow.
He really is. And it'll be so cool to be on the Salt with them again this year. There's going to be so many great people in Bonneville this year. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, buddy. So get your shit packed. We're headed to Bonneville this year.
Yeah, I got to get that figured out.
So before
when is it this year? What are the dates? Does anybody know?
I do. Hold on one second. It's on our calendar.
Okay. All right. What are we doing for news next, or are we going to go right into Brian?
We're going to go into Brian, but I have real quick. I have a tech tip from people from JP Cycles.
Awesome.
Hook you up with this information real quick at the beginning of the riding season.
Nice.
Hey, it's Patrick from JP Cycles, and today we're going to talk about getting those bikes back on the road for spring. It's almost that time. I know I'm jonesing, and so you're going to want to have your bike in good riding condition when you're ready to ride. You don't want to be the guy that has a nice sunny day and something's wrong with the bike. So the first thing you need to check is the battery. If you haven't had your battery on a battery tender, well, you're probably in not so good a shape. So you either need to get it on a tender now or possibly get a new battery. Batteries are only good for a couple of years, and that's not something you want to skimp on. You don't want to get caught out somewhere with a dead battery or always be the guy that needs battery charge or jump. So get those batteries fresh in those bikes. Secondly, tire pressure. You really need to keep up on your tire pressures throughout the year, even when your bike's in storage. It's not good for your bike to be sitting on those tires that are underinflated. If you can actually get your bike up off the ground, that's a plus during the winter. But check those tire pressures on the sidewall there. It'll tell you where it's at. I'll put a link to a tip we have on how to find that information on the side of your tire to get the proper tire pressure. It'll save the life of your tires in the long run. Fluids. You don't want to be the guy that rode your bike all year and didn't change your fluids and goes out with gunk in your engine. So take this time now, get those fluids changed, have nice fresh fluids in that bike. It will love you for it. Again, we have plenty of fluid change videos out there. I'll link to some in the description. You guys can see how to get fresh fluids in your bike for spring. Brake pads. This is something that most people just forget all about until they're braking and don't have any braking power left. Take a peek in those brake pads. You can just peek behind the caliper there and see if there's any life left in those things. That's a cheap fix and something that, like I said, you normally don't really want until you don't have any more. So get ahead of it, get new brake pads in that bike. Cleaning your bike. This may seem a little bit unnecessary, but if your bike's dirty and it's developed a leak over the winter, it'll be harder to find if it's dirty. To clean that bike, it'll give you a chance after the first ride or two to see if you've developed a new leak over the winter time. And it's nice to have a good looking bike when you go out on the road for the first time in the spring. Air filters, get those air filters out. If you live in a rural area, you never know, you may have a rodent making a nest in there. Either way, it's a great time to either upgrade your air filter to a high flow unit, or clean the high flow one you have. If you have a washable, reusable filter, those are basically lifetime filters. You can go ahead and get our recharge kit from K&N here. It'll clean your filter out, re-oil it, it'll be just like new. Brings me to the last thing, which you tend to forget about. Gear. If you're like me, you used every second of riding weather you could leading up into winter. So I didn't really plan to put my bike away. I just kind of stopped riding it. So my gear just got put away dirty. So now's a good time to check that gear over. Probably still has bugs on it. Your helmet might stink. You might have a hole in your glove. You might have a blowout in a jacket. Get those things taken care of now. Check out our 2019 gear. Get the fresh gear for this year and have nice stuff to ride in for the springtime. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to comment in the comment section below. If you like what you see here, tell your friends, please subscribe to us, and go ride those motorcycles.
All right, special thanks to Patrick and all the guys from JP Cycles for bringing that good information to us here at ShopTalk in the Russ Brown Studios.
So Bonneville Motorcycle Speed Trials are August 24th through 29th, 2019. I did post a link to the website in our comment section. And so it's generally a week after, or actually 2 weeks after after Speed Week, excuse me, I totally had a brain cramp. So Speed Week and BMST are two totally different things. This is motorcycles only. That's why we go support it. While Speed Week is super cool and anything you can imagine on wheels can go super fast down the salt, we want to go support the motorcycles.
So Ken, why don't you bring in our next guest?
Brian Buttera, come on down.
Really?
Is that good enough?
That was your intro, dude?
I don't know, dude. So Brian is a custom bike builder. I have no idea where he's from. Do you?
Lakeland, Florida.
Lakeland, Florida. He just recently won
everything.
Everything basically. Won over in Abu Dhabi. He's won, and he was the 2018 Cycle Source Builder of the Year. So super excited to talk to him. I think it's going to be fun.
I like his prices right better.
Hello.
Hey, Brian, what's up, man? You're live with Chris, Ken, and Heather.
Hey, guys, what's up? Hey, Heather. Hey, Ken.
Hiya.
What's up, man?
Hey.
So you recovered from that trip yet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm actually on the job site now, hiding out in the truck for the past hour to talk to you guys.
Oh, jeez.
I got right back into the swing of things pretty quick. So
Did you?
How
it's always
cool
that
was
way with
Abu
us,
Dhabi?
I'm sorry?
How cool was Abu Dhabi?
Oh, it was nuts. It was like the Switzerland trip was amazing, but going somewhere, going to the Middle East was life-changing. It really was. Just because so many preconceived notions of what it is and what it's like, and to see it with your own two eyes, it's really eye-opening. It was a great experience. We had a great time.
What blew you away the most? Like, what was the most memorable thing?
Man, that's tough, Ken. One thing, it's probably the kindness of everybody. I mean, as really the only especially on the bike side, it was a huge show. It had cars, new, old, buggies, dune buggies. It was kind of like the SEMA of the Middle East.
Wow.
But they work in conjunction with them. The custom show Emirates does, but everybody was so kind, and being the sole American on that side was, you don't know what to expect. And it was, everybody was so respectful and welcoming and wanted to know about, our stuff and our motorcycle scene and what our shows are like and what's the judging like and what's, so a lot of interest in what we had to offer too, which was cool.
Okay. So listen, Daytona this year, you and I were having a conversation. I think at the Broken Spoke, and I asked.
I think it was at Sons of Speed.
That's right, it was. And I was asking you about this interview right here, and I said we were going to have you on and do this interview, and that was a year after you first broke that motorcycle out, came down and won everything in Daytona, and started winning everything across the country from there. And I told you that the next time we got to have you on the show, I was going to have an interview with you and have one question. So this is it, baby. Tonight is that one question. What in the fuck do you do next?
Stay consistent, man. I don't know. I don't think it's all sunk in yet. I think I've told you too. I've had another build going. The initial plan was to kind of just do the exact same thing. I mean, with Daytona, the debuts and everything, and some opportunities came up. It's going to be debuted in Sturgis at Michael Lichter's show.
Right.
I got invited to that. So, obviously his kind of his deal is the bike can't be seen before that show. So, and I just did what I did with the first one, man. I just tackled something I wanted to do that was cool and really focused on quality. I've been a fabricator for a long time. I have a lot of experience. So to put that into my passion, it just, I guess that's what kind of made it all happen. So I'm trying to learn. That was, kind of everybody knows now that was my first full build from top to bottom and all me. So, I learned a lot from it. So I think on this next one, it's a 55 pan that I have going, and I've really worked on improving, and that's what I think is the key, is just stay happy and build what you think is cool and what you enjoy, and always try to just kind of learn and do better.
Okay, so Tina Watson comes in at social media and says, I can assure everyone number 2 is amazing. But listen, you would have to have a fitted saddle and unicorn horns for fucking handlebars.
Well, I just got those in. I just got those in. The unicorn
from Ryan Gore.
Yeah,
Ryan Gore made the unicorn horn handle.
Yeah, the new paper streets.
Right on.
I'm going to be debuting them, but yeah, there's some similarities that I went with. This is a totally different style bike. It's another polished stainless frame, and just a lot. I can pick that bike apart no matter what it's won and where it's went and what it's accomplished, and I can sit there with any of us and pick it apart all afternoon. Yeah. So I'm trying to, that's, I think, as builders is what makes us.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I'm trying to just make those changes on the next one. A little, just the details.
Well, let's talk for a minute though, man. I mean, because you came out of nowhere. Everybody knows your name now, but let's tell a little bit of the story behind that. Like, let people know who you are, where you came from, where all of this started, where your ability to work with your hands and how you really got started with that.
Okay. Yeah. I grew up I'm in Florida now, is where we're at, Central Florida, but and I call this home, but I spent a lot of time growing up out west. Went to school in Las Vegas, most of junior high and a good part of high school, and I've went back there a bunch of times. Lived in California, Oregon, Ohio, as an adult, drifted all over. And I've done a lot of things. I've chased a lot of careers. I don't have kids. I never had a family. So I always just, kind of chased different stuff. And it always came back to welding and fabrication, no matter what I did. I mean, whether it was running strip clubs in Vegas or over-the-road truck driver for all kinds of stuff. Welding and fabrication is what always got me back on track and money on the table and squared away. Mm-hmm. And, and I got better and better, and I was, over the years, I've worked with some really good fabricators in shops, and then got into bigger jobs, and the stainless frames kind of come from a strong stainless background, with food and pharmaceutical grade stuff we did. And so I was in, I guess it was almost 10 years ago now. And I've always had a passion for the bikes. I think I first started trying to do a shop long before I was ready skill-wise or maturity wise almost 20 years ago, so I failed a bunch before I got here. That's for sure. And, but I was working in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I had a little apartment. And I think I've told you, Chris, I had pictures from Cycle Source and all the magazines up on my wall.
Yeah, I love hearing.
And I was, I wasn't a real young kid, I mean, I was in my 30s at this time, and early 30s, and still I got them all over my walls. Like when I was, a kid, I would draw, and I would come up. I mean, all I thought about was building, and and doing a bike, and it just grew and grew, and I came down back to Florida the last time since I've been here, and shortly after is when Tina and I met, which has been about 6 years ago now. And, that's one of the biggest aspects of it getting here, is we're a team, wherever I'm at, she's at. It's,
oh yeah.
And she really pushed me to, she keeps it between the lines, or at least out of the ditches. So it's, it allows I tackled it. We went on a trip a few years ago. It was when Ryan, speaking of Ryan, with Paper Street, had the 77, Chris, that he did, and he was at the Hand Built show, and we just happened to go to Austin, Texas, and I was looking in one morning at what was going on there, and I didn't even know or had heard of the Hand Built show, and saw that it was right down the road, and we went, and that's when I first met Ryan. I was looking at his bike, we met, and I left there, and I told Tina, I said, I got to do it. I got to do it. So I was working at a metal fab shop. I was the plant manager, and I built that bike majority from scratch in a one-car garage behind the house. And obviously used some equipment outside out of my shop and that I did things with. And I just, it took me about a year, and I put everything I had into it, and so when we got to Daytona and it was a rush, I wanted to do the Hand Built show, and kind of got talked into, well, why don't you do Daytona? And that's when we did it last year. And you were the first one, I think, to actually see the bike coming out, and the Cycle Source show was the first show we ever did with it, and anybody saw it. And then it just, the whirlwind of what had happened, but that, I guess the answer, where it all was, you were asking, is just a lot of years of working in metal shops and being the guy dreaming and not having shit and miserable, and
right on.
And so I get messages now. It's cool because I just got one the other day, and guys saying like, hey man, I work out of my garage too, and what you're doing is inspiration, or they want to get there too, or positive stuff like that. And it almost gets you a little choked up and motivates you too, but it's it hits home because I can relate to the dreaming part. I never would have expected all this. So
yeah, I mean, when you rolled your bike into the Cycle Source show, did you think that you would win? I mean, did you think that your bike was of that caliber, or were you just like, oh, I'm just going there to show it off?
Probably I finished it like that morning in the shop out back. Like we loaded the trailer and last minute, and that some people close to us knew that. I mean, the bike didn't even have brakes the whole time in Daytona. I mean, it ran and rode, but as long as you didn't have to stop too quick. So it was,
that was the thing, because we kind of try to keep trailer queens at bay, and we had asked him, we said, hey man, is this bike running everything? And he goes, well, I can get it going. He said, but I can't stop it. And I was like, well, can't really fault you for that. There's a whole bunch of bikes down at Billy Lane's Sons of Speed that don't have brakes either.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and at that point, that was all that was stopping me, I'm like, we're going, yeah. But no, I didn't, and I didn't know what caliper it was at really, when you spend a year staring at it and critiquing it and building it, I think you're desensitized to what it is a little bit. You know, I mean, you've been married to the thing for, you know, it's you've laughed, cried, bled, everything else over this thing in a shop, and it's so you don't know what to expect, or at least I didn't, and I hadn't really, you know, I didn't know what the competition really was. I hadn't been Daytona in a long time, and so it was the unknown. I didn't know, you know, and when we came over and said, you know, they wanted to shoot at the Cycle Source, I mean, before any of the rest of the things happened, that was like, that was an accomplishment. I was done. I was good, man. That was cool. The feature in Cycle Source, that's
listen, and the accolades keep coming. I mean, Tim Carnes just right now put a post up, and he says, "I'm not comparing, but Brian's story sounds like Paul Sr. from a few weeks ago, starting the metal shop area and building in the garage." Voodoo Trucker says, "Has anyone noticed that all great things have come out of someone's garage?" You know, I mean, that's honest roots. You ought to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and I, you know, my shop's real minimal. I mean, a lot of it's private. I keep it pretty small, not too many people, you know. But the guys that do see it, or anybody that comes by, you're usually kind of in shock of how minimal it is. I mean, the machinery-wise, manual stuff I have is really old. I got a Miller welder. You know, a lot of stuff's done by hand and cut out and shaped and the hard way. You know, it's but I think that shows in the end, you know, the time and that's the old way of doing it, you know.
So you've been talking about Ryan, and Ryan is one of the best people I know on the planet, but you also had someone else's help, and I know this story, so I'm going to ask you to bring it up about when it came down to the paint for this motorcycle.
Yeah, I did. That all started with not that relationship, not even with motorcycles. Corey, Mr. Oz Designs, you know, everybody kind of knows him now, you know, on Orange County and everything else. I first saw him on social media, and he was doing the old fashioned saws, you know, like the hand saws with the long teeth that they then was hand painting them and doing things. So I reached out to him, and I think it was either for a Christmas present or a birthday or something for Tina, who owns a hair salon and day spa, and the name of the spa, and put it, because it's, you know, it's all custom decor and everything, it fit. So that's how we met. And then she had him do a sign for me for my shop. So the bike got down to the wire, and I was thinking it was going to go possibly to Daytona without paint last year. And so he reached out to me, and he's like, "Man, I'd love to paint the bike." And we were talking only like a matter of few weeks to get it done. And I can tell you, for people that don't know, when it comes to painters, I mean, that's you're really gambling. So,
yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's always like one of the last things, and it can be you know, so I was like, man, yeah, let's do it, you know. And so I overnighted them to them, and they got overnighted back, and we got them just in time. I think like a couple days before we left for Daytona or something like that. They came in and to wrap everything up in that end, and he, you know, and we just kind of, even he's doing the new bike too. He actually has the tanks right now, and we've brainstormed on this one together. He's been at the shop, my shop, a couple times when he was down for bike week, and you know, my house is his house. Corey's awesome. You know,
yes,
we good together. It's hard, as you know, again, as builders, you know, we're creative and we have our vision, and so to hand an aspect to that to somebody can be stressful.
Well, I have to gloat for a minute, because I'm also going to be in Lichter's show this year, and Mr. Oz is also painting my motorcycle.
Oh, awesome, man.
Right?
Hell yeah.
That'll be
cool.
Good.
So yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, he's so I trust him, you know, and we kind of
he's amazing. He's amazing, that dude.
And he's a good guy too, which makes it even better.
He is. Yeah, when he comes to the house, because we moved actually right around the corner from from where the other bike was in the shop was built, but it's behind the house nonetheless. And he still to this day, and he comes over, and it's, you know, it's like family. So we've gotten to that point. So it's real cool to work with somebody like that. And he, the bike won, and I wasn't expecting it, but won best paint in Abu Dhabi as well. And so I told him he gets the trophy for that one.
Right on.
That's
great.
awesome.
Nice.
So that's his. So
Right on.
Very.
Ken.
Oh, sorry.
Crickets. We got crickets.
dead air.
There's always a little bit of that here,
Yeah.
right? So
We went pretty solid there. We needed, yeah.
So I'm riding in Florida is not one of my favorite things to do. Have you found great places to ride in Florida?
I have really little time to ride. I mean, between work and everything, we don't ride much, but we have some good spots. We're right in the middle of the state. So,
yeah,
you know, there's like when we go to Daytona, we rode, since we didn't have, you know, anything show wise, or we went to just hang out a little bit. We rode the Road King over, and we go a back way. That's really nice. You know, it's just, there's some nice riding in Florida. You just got to kind of get nestled in and find it, you know.
Got to figure it out. Because you have a fabrication shop, right? So, I mean, building motorcycles is not how you make a living, right?
Well, right now I'm in construction. I'm a commercial construction superintendent.
Okay.
And that's my day job. So, and before that, and during the beginning of when I built the bike, I was the plant manager of a big metal fab company. Yeah. So,
okay.
And I was commuting 80 miles each way to work every day. And so that's what kind of steered me towards this job. But and it kind of goes with the segment before. I really enjoyed it because, you know, of where the market's going and everything. And as a custom builder, and, you know, this will be right now, the job I'm on here will be the last time, and I'll be going full time, probably around the 1st of May, doing bikes and metal work. So cool. It's just that much demand and that much opportunities come up and interest that, you know, it's, I almost don't have a choice. So it's a cool opportunity.
Remember,
right
you
on.
guys heard it here first. Brian Buttera's next motorcycle is going to have a feather saddle, neon horn, unicorn handlebars.
That's right.
Shit's going to be dope.
Lots of neon lights.
No, man, but listen, I want to thank you, everybody here at the Russ Brown Studios of Shop Talk. Thanks you for taking the time and being on with us. And yeah, that what's next question, dude. As much as I'm enamored at your success this year, the stress of getting over bike number 2. By the time you get to bike number 3, like, even if number 2 is amazing, there's going to be a certain amount of stress. You know, by the time you get to 3,
I got number 3 in the corner. Yeah. It's a 73 shovel, and it's a totally different direction. And even though 2's not done yet, I still catch myself staring at that one with ideas.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
So yeah, and then I got the 1914 Indian that I'm going to race with Billy, and that's sitting in the corner too. So yeah, there's a bunch of, and I got framework for, you know, people that have sent, and that I have at the shop's getting full. So it's and that's been, you know, that's kind of like the final piece of the dream, is being able to wake up and go out back to my shop, and that's how I do it. So it's
nice. So, that's awesome, man.
Well, listen,
and it's really inspirational for people, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's and really even overseas, the people that's, you know, I met a lot of young builders, and it was the same thing, you know, still even the same mentality over there of, you know, they it's cool to, you know, I go around the world and, man, we've been following you for a long time. We love your work. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. It's hard for that to really sink in. It was a real cool experience. So
well, you take it in. You take it in, buddy, because you put the time in for sure.
I appreciate it, Chris, and thanks. You know, from day one, you guys were the ones that, you know, when after Boogie East and took it out back, and Missy shot You know, the bike. That was the start of it all, man. So I thank you guys for everything. I really do.
Right on. Where can people watch what you got coming next and keep up after you?
Instagram's kind of the biggest thing. It's Buttera's Metalworks, BUTTERAS _ metal _ works WERX.
Right
And Facebook, there's a business page, but you know, usually I just use my personal one. I don't. It's tough to keep up with it all right now, but Instagram for sure. Even I can message. You know, I usually get right back to you pretty quick. So.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for taking the time to come on tonight with us, and thank your beautiful girl there too, because I know she's always right beside you, so she's probably holding the phone.
Yeah, like I said, I'm still working tonight, but I'm sure she's listening. And
oh, she is.
Yeah.
Your sister's here. It looks like you have
yeah.
a little fan club here, Brian.
Yep.
So.
Nice.
Yeah. That makes me
Thanks,
feel
Brian.
good. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
Okay, later on, buddy.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Real quick before we get too far off track,
Okay.
I want to thank everybody that's on here tonight commenting and thanking us for another great show. That means the world to Chris, Ken, and I. Not only do you take your time out of your week to watch, but you actually dig it.
And you share it, and
it's always good when you like it, you know?
So thank you very much for your feedback, and thank you, Brian, for coming on.
Yeah, that was awesome. It's so great. Such an inspiration, you know?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
that's doing good stuff.
That's the good part of this whole thing. Hey, this weekend, right?
Yes.
This weekend is the Texas Fandango. We've been telling you guys about this for months now, and cannot wait to start seeing the pictures. We're going to have tons of live stuff from the event through CycleSource social media, so stay tuned for that, and then stay tuned for the follow-up coverage.
And I say that begrudgingly because we are supposed to be the ones there doing the coverage.
Yeah, but we're
the stupid magazine thing we do every 30 days.
Instead, we're the ones in the office doing the magazine.
Damn it!
But also coming up before we know it, May 17th, our first custom bike show at the Suck Bang Blow. Super excited to get out there, and it sounds like those guys are excited to have us. We haven't been to Myrtle Beach for quite many years, man.
Very good.
Hope to see you guys all there. There's
shortly after that, we have a bunch going on this year.
Yeah, a couple things still left to get to in the news. One in particular that I want to hit is the upcoming Realities Ride. That's also another place you're going to be able to run into us. This is the 18th annual Realities Ride Rally. And this year we're coming out to do a motorcycle show and some bike games. So we got
this is another first for CycleSource.
Yes, it
we
is.
need all of our
first
chopper
time
jockeys
in
out there.
Colorado.
So tell everybody about Realities Ride for a minute, Ken, because I hadn't heard a lot about this before we got involved with you. And I mean, 18th annual world's largest poker run. Every mile
it's a
helps
it
a
is
child.
legitimately, Guinness Book of World Records holding world's largest poker run. And the cool thing about it is it's actually the owner, Craig, he is the founder of Realities for Children, and they help kids get basically anything that they can't get through social services, they provide. So if kid needs braces and they can't afford it, they do it. If they need a teddy bear for Christmas, they do it. And that's basically all they do. And all the money from the Realities Ride goes to that. Craig is a huge supporter of the motorcycle industry and of motorcycles. He's a motorcyclist himself. Super cool guy, just down to earth. And so he started that, as kind of a fundraiser. So
that's awesome.
It's a great event. It's going to be in downtown Fort Collins. And there's a little bit of talk that we might do this show live somewhere.
Yes. What do you guys think of that? We want to see comments. What do you think if we could manage to start doing a couple of these across the country actually live and turn it into kind of an event?
Us?
Yeah. Would you pay a couple dollars and buy a beer or two and maybe eat some nachos?
I like nachos.
Yeah. Well, we can't eat on the show. That's like rule number 1, Heather.
I know.
Can I drink on the show? No, I'm just kidding. I don't drink.
Only when you're off camera. All right.
Fine.
Well, I think we're going to save the rest of it for next week. And next week we do have, do we want to talk a little bit about next week? No.
No.
We'll do it in the promo. So watch for a promo this week.
Yeah, no, we've got some. It's going to be exciting because we've got some really cool stuff going on. Some really cutting edge motorcycle technology people that we're going to be talking to. So that gives you a little bit of a hint. And it's going to be fun. Every week I look forward to this. I just want to thank everyone as well. And if you can rate, review, share, if you can go on to Stitcher, iTunes, wherever you might consume a podcast, and share this, and download, do all that stuff, it really, really helps us out. So also, yes, obviously we're coming live from the Russ Brown Studios, and we can't thank them enough. They have been a huge supporter, Cycle Source, over the years, as well as now with ShopTalk. So, thanks to Keith Ball, thanks Brian Buttera, and
as always, thank you guys for bringing us into your home once a week with 90 minutes of all the bullshit we can fit. Just like to remind you, the best way you can help Shop Talk stay on the airwaves is go up, do the little like thing, make sure that you're following us, and set the alarm over to the side so that when we go live, you're notified that Shop Talk is live and you don't miss a thing for Chris, Ken, and Heather and all the 90 minutes we can fit.
All the 90 minutes we could fit. All right.
I'm running out of steam, man.
I hear you, dude. I hear you. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
We'll see you next week.